a quick trigger warning on this video for sexual assault, fatphobia, racism, and bad writing. Hazbin Hotel finished its first season as of the time of filming yesterday, and I have some opinions about it, not exactly positive ones. There are some positive opinions, there are some things that I like about the show, but overall this is going to be a critique of the things that I don't like or things that I thought could have been done better about the show. Starting with some disclaimers, I understand that there's a lot of controversy around the creator of the show, but I'm not really going to be covering that for this video. I mostly just want to talk about the show itself, but if you want to hear me talk about the creator and some of the things that she has done, feel free to leave a comment and, you know, ask me to do that. I'm sure I could do that at some point. And I know a lot of people really enjoy this show, so I do want to clarify that pretty much all of this is just my opinion and the opinion of other people on the internet. If you like the show, I'm not gonna dunk on you for that. Enjoy the things that you like and just, you know, ignore me. Also, another thing, I'm specifically going to be talking about the Amazon release of this show. I'm not going to be talking about the original pilot that was posted on YouTube. I'm just talking about the Amazon show for this. Now that that is out of the way, I'm gonna start with a rundown, starting with like specific episode related critique and then getting into like larger themes around like the music and character design, the art style, things like that. So I've watched both Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss, the original pilot for Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss, and honestly I was much more interested in the premise of Hazbin Hotel as opposed to Hell of a Boss. Not really for any reason specifically, just because I liked it more, and I was actually really excited for when this show came out. Hazbin Hotel follows the daughter of Satan and Lilith named Charlie as she basically tries to save the people of Hell from annihilation. You see, every year Heaven sends down an army of angels basically to do population control on the sinners in Hell. Charlie believes that if a soul can become redeemed, they can ascend up to Hell and basically avoid the genocide. They're right out the gate with like a positive note. I genuinely like the premise of the show and I think it has a lot of potential. I just feel like a lot of it is kind of wasted. I really like the airbrush effect that a lot of the show has, specifically in this case in the intro where she's describing like how Satan fell from heaven. I really like that airbrush effect. I do wish that Hell was built up a bit more like a major city. I feel like a lot of the buildings are really short. This is just like a, you know, this is not a serious critique at all, but like, you know, I feel like if Heaven is so if Hell is so overpopulated, it should be like, you know, a huge metropolis kind of adjacent to like New York City, but a lot of it is based, like, a lot of it looks more so like a downtown area, which I just feel like having it be a big city would have been cooler. One thing I don't really get, at least in the beginning, is that Alistair's voice kind of goes in and out of that radio thing. I don't know if I can play clips of this for, you know, copyright sake, but a lot of times like he'll talk and he'll be in that like classic mid-Atlantic accent talking with like the radio static overlay, and then he'll like turn around to do something and that radio sound is gone. And I don't really get why that happens, because as we learn later on, that radio sound is directly tied to his power. So what is happening in his power for that to change just during random parts of dialogue? And also, this has been like torn apart on Twitter quite a lot, but when she starts to sing the first song, Vaggie just straight up disappears from the background. She just poofs out, like we don't know what happened. A Happy Day in Hell, like the song overall, sounds okay, like it's just alright. And this is gonna be a critique at the end that like a lot of the songs aren't bad. I don't think any of the songs necessarily are inherently bad, except for one specific one that I'll get into. But like a lot of them just sound incredibly generic, and this is one of them where like it's fine. Like for the first song in the show, I think it's a little weak, but you know, it's okay. Also, the music notes that play during a specific part, me and a couple of my friends who are vocal performance majors noticed that they just don't mean anything. They're just random notes that they put in there for no reason, just like because. They could have put the actual sheet music for the song behind it, but they just didn't for some reason. And also I like that Adam is a stereotypical frat bro. Like, I just feel like, you know, it's a little bit of an expected adaptation of The First Man, but like, you know, it's fun. I appreciate a jackass. I also love how when they try to film the commercial, Nifty just like stares at the camera and doesn't do anything. I thought that was really funny. A lot of the show has like humorous parts, but not necessarily parts that kind of make you out loud, and I did kind of chuckle at that part, so I thought I should mention it. Also, I fucking hate Adam's song. This actually isn't the song I mentioned before that I hate a lot, but Adam's song specifically, I don't know why, it's infuriating. On the second watch through, because I had to watch it multiple times in order to like take notes and stuff, the song definitely like seems better, but watching it for the first time, like, it gagged me, but not in a good way. Overall, the episode is fine. It's pretty standard, like introducing the plot and characters and things like that, so, you know, whatever. At the beginning of the show, Charlie and Baggy are going out to recruit more sinners, and then it just doesn't show them recruiting anyone or even trying to go out and recruit them. It's just they leave, and then they come back and they say, we didn't get any sinners, and that was it. Like, they could have just had them stay at the hotel the whole time. Also, I can't decide if I hate Vox's character design or not. I don't mind it overall, but I do wish he had a different body type, and this is something that I'll get into later, but he looks like every other character. He's just a skinny guy with a lot of shit going on. And that's it. Like, I appreciate that his head is a TV. I like that. I like when they have that happen with character design, so, you know, that's a positive. And I do like that when he is like stressed out or when something is like really serious, his voice kind of becomes a bit more static, like an old TV. I do appreciate that. I think that that is like, you know, a good way to indicate, like, you know, he's a TV guy. I like that definitely more so than when Alistair's voice just kind of breaks and doesn't have that radio sound anymore for a random reason. Like, this one actually has a reason, so I appreciate that. I really liked that Welcome Home song that was sung between Vox and Alistair. I actually really did enjoy that one, so, you know, it's nice. And I also like Sir Pentious' character. He's a very goofy guy, but I do kind of hate the yellow-pink combo. I just feel like they, like, really contrast a lot, or not even necessarily contrast, but like they just like don't go very well together. I feel like either like maybe make the pink more of a red looking color, or maybe like don't have the yellow be so bright. I don't know, just something about it is like a little bit off, but overall as a character I like him. I also like the Dare style skit that they put on, like where he's dressed up like a literal child and Angel just tries to sell him crack. That one's pretty funny. I also want to like Fat Nuggets a lot, the little pig guy, but I saw someone say that he just looks like a demon version of Waddles from Gravity Falls, and now I can't unsee it, so. But I also like that they didn't do that trope where someone knows that another character is a bad guy, but everyone believes the bad guy over the character who knows that something is up, you know? They could have done that really easily with like Angel Dust and Sir Pentious, but they didn't do that, and I appreciate it. But I do really hate the It Starts With Sorry song. I like the way that Sir Pentious like blinks, like it starts with sorry, bam, bam, like where he blinks like that. That was cute. I enjoyed that. But other than that, like I just kind of thought the song was mid. I don't know why Sir Pentious said that Baggy? It says Baggy on my thing, sorry. Baggy is purple, because she's not purple. I guess I could see like a little bit of a bluish purple hint to her, but like she's mostly gray, and there's a reason that she's gray. She's definitely not purple. And the part where Baggy, I keep touching my head like this. I swear I don't have lice or anything. It's just, I don't know. I have to do something with my hand. But Baggy and Charlie, when they're trying to do trust exercises and Charlie puts like all the pressure onto her, this is something that happens like throughout the episode. I just feel like it's kind of random and it doesn't really make sense. Like the hotel is largely Charlie's project. I don't get why she would put so much pressure on Baggy in that moment. I also really like the Egg Boys. I like how cartoonish they are, like definitely, especially like in their character design. I think that they're very well done. Like they look cute and they're just goofy little guys. I also like how big Carmilla's hands are. Like it's very, again, cartoonish, but it's really fun. So I think this song between Carmilla and Velvet is pretty fun. I do enjoy like the back and forth that they have during that exchange. But I do not like the song with Carmilla and Baggy. That one is just mid. Like I don't get it. They're singing their hearts out. Like they are singing with so much pride and so much going on. And I could not give a shit. And this is I'm someone who cries when they watch Bob's Burgers sometimes. Like, I get emotionally invested in characters, and I could not give a shit what happens to them. I don't, like, something's up with the writing on there. Like, I'm not connecting to these characters at all. However, I do like the sort of parallel dynamic between Carmilla and Baggy, like how they both, like, have people that they care about and would do anything for them. I like that, and I wish that that could have been, it's discussed further a little bit, but like I feel like it just could have been done better overall, like to really bring that theme to the forefront. I think would have been better. It's just kind of like thrown off to the side of like, oh yeah, there's a bit of a parallel there, and that's kind of it. And again, I like Sir Pentious' dynamic with the eggs. I am a little curious though as to where the egg boys come from. Does he lay them? Does he make them? How do the egg boys exist? Okay, episode 4. Trigger warning for this episode in particular. I know I put one at the beginning of the video, but you know, trigger warning for this episode for, you know, sexual assault. So I do appreciate that Angel Dust's second set of hands kind of indicate like what he's feeling in that moment. You know, he holds the phone with one hand and then the second hands below kind of like hold each other like they're anxious. I appreciate that. That's a good use of, you know, the second set. Although in a previous episode, so I think yeah, in the very first episode, Vaggie says that they can't force people to stay, right, when they're talking to Alistair. But then she kind of turns around and tells Charlie to use her ability as the Princess of Hell and kind of like make it to where Angel Dust can be forced to stay. Like, not forced, but like she tells her to try and use her power as the Princess of Hell to let Angel Dust stay at the hotel and not have to work as much, which just kind of seems like a contradiction to me. And then the scene with Charlie at the shoot, like overall, specifically like where she's interrupting things and like, you know, messing up the person with the mic and things like that. It's so cringeworthy. I got so much secondhand embarrassment from watching that, and I'm sure you're supposed to, but like, oh my gosh, it hurts so much to watch. And then the scene between Valentino and Angel Dust is disgusting. It's not just disgusting for, like, for its content, but for the context behind it. So one of the storyboard artists for the show is someone who is very close to the creator and also has a consensual non-consent kink, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that inherently, but the thing is that they, I believe, storyboarded a lot of the song that Angel Dust sings in a little bit, which I will get to, and then also helped work on this specific scene, and has also drawn ship art of Angel Dust and Valentino together in NSFW situations. And I just don't really think it's a good idea to have someone with a consensual non-consent kink who has actively talked about how this ship is for that kink, have them animate this scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like a poor choice on their part to let that happen. It's just, and especially because like I was talking with my friends and the scene itself like is definitely fucked up. Like, you can tell that the scene is very inherently messed up, but it also like could easily, or at least like relatively with little effort, be read as a like, as something that someone who enjoys consensual non-consent would like, if that makes sense. Like, if Valentino isn't even totally read out to be like a complete bad guy, like he's a piece of shit, don't get me wrong, but like there are still moments where like he's played off as being weirdly charismatic despite the fact that we're supposed to hate him, and I just feel like that's a really poor choice, and not just for like having that one person work on this scene, but also just like for his character in general. If we're supposed to hate him so much, like why are there moments like that? Like, don't get me wrong, they don't happen a lot. Like, overall, Valentino is definitely portrayed as being a piece of shit, but like there's a part towards the end where he's like cuddling or like in the bed with like the other V's, and like it looks cute, but also one of those guys is a rapist, so why why do you have this part in there, you know? And you can't tell me that I'm crazy, because I've seen art online of him and appreciation posts for Valentino specifically, and it's disgusting, dude. That guy's a rapist, and there are people out there celebrating this character. So clearly, something about him is likable, and that shouldn't be the case. It's just not great, in my opinion. But moving on. Moving on specifically to the song, I feel like the song isn't taken as seriously as it should be, specifically with parts like when the creator has tweeted about this song and like made sexual jokes about the song, but the song is about how Angel Dust like has to do all this shit against his will, which is assault. Like, even if he made a deal with an overlord of hell, that's still a form of assault. And so like having him sing this song and having like moments of him at work displayed in the background, it just seems very weird. And then to go from there and make a joke, like make a sex joke on top of that, or a sex pun, I guess in this case, it's just a little weird, and it just doesn't feel like they're taking the sexual assault of Angel Dust very seriously. One thing I will say though is I like how the song shows that the other Vs are complicit in what's happening to Angel Dust. Like specifically, there's a moment where like he's on a terrace, he's on a terrace, and oh my god, TV guy, Vox, is down there below talking with Valentino, and Vox sees him and just walks away. Like, it's clear that he knows something that's going on within this, but it's just not really something that he gets involved with, so he's very complicit in that, and I appreciate that it showed that. And as for like the Loser song that happens later, I enjoy it. Like, I've heard a lot of people praising it. I think it's a pretty alright song up until Angel Dust starts singing that part. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Although there is this isn't in terms of like the song itself, but the animation that goes with the song. There's a part in the song where Angel Dust's extra arms, like the arms that are below his arms, actually disappear for a moment, which I would believe is an animation mistake because they're there pretty much all the time afterwards. There's also a moment after the song where Angel Dust is shooting a guy and he just randomly turns into a puddle in midair for some reason. Which like seems intentional, but it just looks very weird when you see it happen. Overall, I like Husk and Angel Dust's friendship. I think that it's very cute, and I think their dynamic is pretty fun. Okay, this is a common complaint about the show in general in terms of like the pacing and the way that the characters move, but the scene with Charlie stressing out at the beginning is so fast-paced, like it's hard to focus on her and it almost hurts your eyes, like to see her move so fast and trying to keep up with how fast like the character moves. I can't imagine that it's super easy to animate all of these movements all at once, you know? There's also the fact that this is something that also that happens overall in the show, but her cheek spots, like the placement of those changes a lot. Most of the time it's like above like her the corners of her mouth, like kind of right here, but also sometimes when she talks, like they move to be on the inside of the corners of her mouth, and then other times when she's making certain facial expressions, they're below the corners of her mouth, and it just doesn't really makes sense, you know? Like, I have a freckle on my neck. When I'm angry, the freckle doesn't move up, you know? Like, I don't get why, like, I get why they move while she talks, because her cheeks are moving, but they shouldn't change the placement on her face, you know? But moving on from that, Satan is a loser. I don't know why, I don't know why they made him, like, so lame. Like, I get, like, the whole trope of, like, you know, divorced dad wants to connect with his kids, but they're just not close at all. Like, I get having that trope, but having, like, the literal king of hell have that trope is just a little weird, in my opinion. I mean, you do you. Like, design your characters however you want, but I just felt like it was a little, like, out of place in comparison to how most people think about the devil. But, you know, whatever. I do like the take that depression thing that he did. I felt that a lot. I also like the haha fuck you moment between Lucifer and Alistair when they're talking at the hotel. A lot of people complain about the amount of cursing in the show. I don't really care about the cursing in general, but I do think that it can be applied better. Like, for one thing, this is something that happens later on, but Adam curses a lot, right? And people in heaven are shown to curse sometimes. And then people in hell also curse. So there's no, like a lot of people curse all the time, and it's not really played out to be anything, it's just how people talk, and I feel like you could have done that in a way to, like, indicate, like, how things are. Like, you could have had everyone in hell curses a lot, but Adam and all the other people in heaven, they don't curse at all. That's like, and there's actually a moment where Charlie is talking to an angel. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but there's a moment where Charlie is talking to an angel and she curses and people, like, stare at her like she's crazy, but at the same time, Adam fucking curses all the time. So why don't they get upset about Adam cursing? It's just when Charlie does it. It's so weird. But yeah, I feel like the fuck you with Alistair, I feel like that was played out very well, especially considering that Alistair doesn't curse very much. So to see him curse, it's funny because it doesn't happen a lot. It's unexpected. But when every other character is cursing all the time, it just gives off this vibe of very middle schooler, curse word equals funny, let's throw in a bunch of curse words. Which, you know, Again, you do you, but like, I just feel like it could have been done better overall. I also like the song between Alistair and Lucifer, like where they're both kind of like fighting for Charlie's love. However, I do want to say that I kind of hope that the whole thing with Alistair, like, he's singing about how he could basically be Charlie's dad, I hope that that's more so manipulation rather than him actually starting to care about her, just because I like the idea of like him actually just genuinely being a fucked up guy, and maybe they have to fight him later on when the series like starts to be over. Like maybe that's the climax of the series, is that like everyone gets redeemed except for Alistair. Alistair's still super fucked up, so they have to fight him. But that's just something that I like the concept of. I don't really like the idea of him like becoming redeemed. I like redemption in most other characters, but he just seems like such a soulless guy that I really hope he doesn't actually start to like care about the people he's around. Spoiler alert, he definitely does. But I think it would have been much cooler if he just like did not give a shit. Also, I hate Mimsy's character. I want to like her a lot, like I want to like the person that she is, but she's the only fat character that we've had so far, and she's super gluttonous and a piece of shit, and she only goes over there to have other people solve her problems for her. It's just, it's not good representation. Like she's just not great. And this is something that I'm going to get into later, but there are a lot of problems regarding how fat people, and really just people in general, are portrayed within the show. But yeah, all in all, I don't really like Mimsy's character. I also appreciate the dropping of the Alistair lore, like later on, like implying that Alistair also, like his soul is owned by someone. I enjoy that. I like when they drop lore in the middle of episodes and it's just kind of random. I do enjoy that. Speaking of Lucifer being kind of a loser, I think it's really dumb that he hates, what the fuck? I think it's dumb that he like hates the sinners in hell, you know? Like, he hates the other demons because he gave them free will and they chose to do bad things. And it's just like, no shit, dude. When you give people free will, they're gonna make bad decisions, and that's up to you. That's on you, because you're the one who gave them free will. Like, you can't give people free will and then get upset when some people do bad things, you know? Also, why does Alistair have tentacles? This is, honestly, I could make a whole video about just all the shit that I don't like about Alistair's character, because he is a character that I really wanted to like. Like, when I watched the pilot, I really wanted to like him as a character. But in this series, it's just not what he could have been, you know? But yeah, I don't get why he has tentacles. It just seems like, I've seen a lot of people say this, but he kind of feels like a Tumblr, like 13-year-olds OC, where they just throw a bunch of shit together. Like, he's a radio guy, and he's also a deer guy, and he has tentacles, and he does voodoo stuff, and like, it's just, there's just so much, you know? Like, it's a little much. I also don't like the song that Lucifer and Charlie sing at the end. Again, it just sounds very generic. Like, it's mid, it's fine, like, whatever. I fucking hate St. Peter's character design. Oh my god, I've heard people talk about this, but like, why is St. Peter, who was a real person, who was a Middle Eastern man, why is he white? Why is he the whitest guy I've ever seen? It doesn't make sense. However, I do like Sarah and Emily's character designs. I think that they're very fun. I don't like how gray Emily is, but like overall, I do like their like look and layout, you know? Okay, the song that I hate the most, that I alluded to earlier, is by far the Welcome to Heaven song. Oh, painfully generic, like right in my heart. It hurts so much. It is just, it's not a good song. Out of all of the songs in the show, most of them are mid, some of them are good. This one is bad. In my opinion. Something I absolutely hate about this whole episode by far is definitely Vaggie. For one thing, it's confirmed that her name is basically just Vagina. And also, it's just kind of randomly revealed that she is an angel. Like, the pacing on this episode is just really poor. We find out that she is an angel, and then Charlie finds out that she is an angel within like 10 minutes of each other. Like, there is no lead up to it. I would have understood if maybe they, like, you know, in episode 3 or whatever. Or actually, in episode 1, if Vaggie had gone along with Charlie and then they had like a separate meeting afterwards where like Adam dragged her aside and realized that she was an angel, and we had that revelation, and then several episodes on they go to heaven and then it's actually revealed to Charlie that she's an angel, that would have been so much better in terms of pacing. Then we could have actually had some like tension and build up to it. But no, it's revealed within 10 minutes of each other, and it just kind of like, the only thing it amounts to is the fact that Charlie got her feelings hurt, and that's it. And I mean that literally. When they go back to the hotel in the next episode, none of the other fucking characters care that Vaggie is an angel. Literally, the only person who gets affected by this is Charlie, because she finally learns that Vaggie is an angel. It doesn't make sense. And it's also, like, even then, like, in terms of, like, the revelation that she is an angel, right? It's hardly alluded to at all in any of the other episodes. The only thing that we really get is that, like, she doesn't have any personal red on her, like nothing about her, like she doesn't have any red spots or red hair or anything like that. She's overall pretty gray and white, and the only red she has is in her clothing, stuff that she chooses. And the fact that, like, she used to fight with other people, and that she has a spear, but even then, like, anyone could have a spear, especially when heaven comes down every single year and kills people. You know that at least someone's gonna get a spear, you know? Like, there's really not much that would allude to the fact that she is an angel other than that. I don't know why Sarah and Emily, this is something that I said earlier, but I don't get why they're surprised when Charlie curses, because Adam curses all the time. But whatever. I also hate that there are angels who have horns like demons. So, like, I get it, some of them are exorcists, but there are other ones who are, like, in kind of like the jury area during the trial that they have, where they just have horns. They have horns. Like, that's it. You couldn't do anything else with their character design. Like, you had to still make them look kind of evil and fucked up, even though they're in heaven, you know? I do like overall, like, the color change between heaven and hell. Like, I like that hell is mostly, like, red and black, and then heaven is, like, mostly blue and white. Like, I like the color distinction between the two. I think that it's very good at indicating, like, where you are as a character. But, you know, in terms of character design, I feel like they could have done more with the angels. Specifically, like, the background angels, like, the ones that have the horns in the jury. They could have just done anything else with them. I do appreciate, though, Angel looking out for Nifty while they're at the club. I really like their dynamic and, like, how they interact with each other. So, you know, that's cute. I like when he puts her on Husk and he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, she's drunk, just deal with it. That's cute. I like that. I like Nifty's character a lot, honestly. Trigger warning again for assault. This episode comes right after the one where, you know, Angel Dust was assaulted or attacked by Valentino. But in this episode, there is a sexual assault joke. Like, right after. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if you care so much about sexual assault victims and you want to, like, show sexual assault and you want to show how bad Angel Dust's situation is and, like, how shitty of a person Valentino is, why are you going to turn around and immediately after have a sexual assault joke? Like, it just doesn't make any sense in terms of theme. It just really doesn't seem like you actually care about sexual assault victims. You just wanted to include that in there for whatever fucking reason. On top of that, apparently Serpentius is actually based off of someone that the creator knew in real life. So kind of weird to have them go through, like, a sexual assault joke if they're based off of a real person, but, you know, you do you, I guess. However, I do appreciate Angel finally sticking up to Valentino. The unfortunate thing is, though, that it doesn't really mean a whole lot when it comes immediately after a sexual assault joke, so. And again, I feel like Vaggie's reveal to Charlie as an angel would have been way more powerful. It actually had any build-up at all, but it doesn't, so, you know, it's just kind of like, oh, it's the thing we found out 10 minutes ago, and now Charlie's feelings are hurt, and that's it. One thing I do like, though, this is my last point for this episode, is that Sarah has eyes, like, at the end of her locks that open up that you don't actually see beforehand, and I think that's very cool. I like that detail. I do wish that Emily had similar hair to her, or at least had, like, some form of textured hair, just because, you know, that would have helped make up for the gray skin she has at the very least, or at least, like, you know, would have helped code her as a person of color better. I appreciate that Vaggie sticks around to help out with the hotel and stuff, despite the fact that she's been outed as an angel. I do feel like that takes some courage, and that definitely is in line for her character, for sure. I don't like, however, that Alistair has stitches around his face during the deal that he makes with Charlie, but I'm gonna get into that more later. I do like, however, that the cannibals kind of have like these sort of mask-like faces. It kind of reminds me of the mythology around like Wendigos. A Wendigo is originally a person who eats other people, and slowly they basically become like corrupted as a result. And I feel like having the cannibals in Cannibal Town like have this sort of mask around them is a good way to like show that like even in hell they're kind of losing their humanity a bit. I think that that's very fun. To clarify, I'm not saying that, like, it's a good thing for the cannibals in Cannibal Town to, like, slowly become like Wendigos, like the actual Native American mythology. I'm just saying that I like the parallel between the two that I noticed. But I don't get why Charlie is so, like, surprised to be in Cannibal Town. Like, it's almost like she hasn't heard of it before, and she mentions it in the first episode, so that just doesn't really make sense to me. But I do like Rosie's character. I think Rosie is great. I genuinely like her a lot, and I like that, her and the other cannibals in Cannibal Town are all kind of Edwardian, like they all have kind of similar attire and stuff. I think it's very fun. I am a little confused as to how Rosie offers Charlie pinky fingers to eat, because all of the characters in Hazbin Hotel only have like four, I guess, 3 fingers and a thumb. They have 4 fingers, so where, like, they don't have pinky fingers. Where did she get the pinky fingers from? This is kind of a jump ahead, but I don't understand how Vaggie didn't know that angels could get hurt. Like, she definitely seems surprised, like, and it's even discussed, like, when she's fighting Carmilla, like, she leaves herself open because she's not aware that she can be hurt, but she literally had her eye torn out. Like, she definitely should know that angels can get hurt, but she still just acts like they can't for some reason. I do like that Carmilla, it's revealed that she decapitated the angel with her ballet flats. I think that that's pretty fun. Like, how she has, like, I guess, metal on the edges of her flats, I would guess, because like you have to kill them with steel, so I guess that would be the way, or at least it's heavily implied that she killed them with her flats, because like the movement that she makes, whatever. I'm gonna assume that it means that she killed the angel with her flats, like she fucking did a karate chop and like killed the angel. That's fun if that's what that was supposed to mean, but it's kind of hard to tell because the choreography of the scene is like so interlaced with the fight that happens. Whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna assume that it's that because I think that that's cool. Overall, I think that the song between Vaggie and Carmilla is pretty alright. Like, it's fine. I do like that Vaggie gets her wings back at the end though, and I like the talk between Charlie and Rosie that they have about her and Vaggie's relationship. It's a very productive conversation, and I enjoyed watching it. I also will say that I like the song that's sung like at the very end, that Charlie sings to the people of Cannibal Town. I'm a big sucker for a march, personally. I've been in marching band for years, so like I enjoy an upbeat little song. So overall in the series, this was actually my favorite episode. Like out of all of the episodes, I thoroughly enjoyed watching episode 7. Like I thought it was pretty fun. You know, there's still some problems that I had with it, but like I definitely enjoyed it the most. I love Sir Pentious' little general outfit. It's really cute. He looks adorable. It's great. I also love Nifty dubbing Alistair as the Roach King. Like, she puts that crown on him and stuff. That was also really cute. But I also just love Nifty, so, you know. Why does the Lieutenant Angel have blood on her before the fight even begins? Because we know for a fact that angels bleed like this gold color, so her blood is red. Like, the blood on her shirt and stuff is red. So where did that blood come from? They haven't fought yet. Like, is it just left over from the last extermination? Why didn't she wash her clothes? Also, I did not expect Adam to be able to break Alistair's shield around the hotel. That was honestly kind of sick. I will say I hate Adam's character a lot, but that was pretty cool considering like how propped up Alistair is as someone who is just like super powerful and can't be defeated. It was really cool to see him just kind of and break it. The I'm gonna end your fucking life line from, I believe, Alistair to Adam is kind of weak, not gonna lie. Especially just considering that we've already heard him curse before that, it just feels a little forced. I do, however, like the way that Alistair's voice changes when his microphone breaks, like how it doesn't have that static sound anymore. I think that that's pretty fun. it still like leaves the question of why did his voice leave that staticky sound earlier on, like in the first episode. But you know, still, I like that his voice like stopped having that radio voice behind it because his microphone was broken. That was a fun detail. I also like how Serpentius like revealed his love before he sacrificed himself. It was really cheesy, but I thought it was cute. I do think that his death was really lame though. But it honestly kind of makes sense that his death was so lame considering that he's based off of a real person that the creator doesn't like. So I guess that was her way of coping with how much she doesn't like that person. The fight scene between the lieutenant and Baggy is pretty cool, but some parts of it are like, again, this is something that happens with the show a lot. Some of it is like so fast paced that it's kind of hard to read. But overall, I like that she sort of let her live, even though it kind of went on to bite her in the ass. I do kind of hate the line, live only because you know I let you. I just feel like, I've definitely heard that line somewhere before. I don't know where, but it feels so overused, you know? But I did like the arm ripping off, you know, from under the rock. That was cool. Adam looks exactly like how I would expect him to, but that's not a good thing considering that he's Adam. He's the first guy. He should not be a white guy. Why is he so white, dude? That being said, why does he wear the mask all the time? The lieutenant takes her mask off, but he just never does up until the point that it actually breaks. It just doesn't really make sense. I also love that Nifty is the one who killed Adam. I do feel like it was, not great to kill off Adam so early. I feel like they really could have built him up into a better villain, but you know, I appreciate that he died, and I appreciate that Nifty is, I'm appreciative of the fact that Nifty was the one to kill him. I feel like, you know, she deserved that. Overall, I've heard people say that they don't like how short the battle is. I actually feel like the battle played out pretty well, especially because we got to see, like, the aftermath of that and them rebuilding the hotel and stuff. I feel like it was fine. It definitely, it did feel a little bit rushed though. Like the amount of time that it actually took for the battle to happen within the episode, that's fine, but I will agree that like the battle itself feels kind of rushed, especially for something that they've been building up to the whole season. But you know, whatever. I'm also happy that Serpentius went to heaven. Like it for one thing, it confirms that a soul can actually be redeemed and go to heaven. And I've also heard a lot of people say that they don't like his character design when he goes to heaven, but hot take. As someone who didn't really like his character design that much beforehand, I like his character design more when he's in heaven. I like that the like frill of his thing like breaks up into little points. I like that a lot more, considering that like, you know, heaven probably isn't super cool as snakes given what happened in the Garden of Eden. So I kind of like that it kind of breaks up that little snake part of him, but you know, whatever. I also like that there was a cliffhanger with Lilith. Again, sort of the same problem with Adam though. Why the hell is Lilith white? Like why? Why is she white? That being said, that was my critique overall for the episodes, so let's get into my critique around certain themes and elements of the show that I think could have been done better. Okay, starting off with critique around the music. So this opinion is not entirely my own, which is why I'm starting with it. I've already mentioned I have friends who are vocal performance majors, and they kind of agree with me that a lot of the music seems very bland and generic, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I guess I would rather have a generic song than like a shitty song, but you know, like they could have done a lot more, especially considering that so many of the singers who were in there used to have like used to do like Broadway productions and stuff. They really could have done something more with that, but I feel like it was just kind of, their voices were kind of wasted, honestly. Like they could have done so much more, and a lot of the songs were just really generic sounding. Again, not inherently bad, it's just kind of bland, and they could have done better. Okay, before I get into this next part, I do feel a need to sort of clarify that, like, I don't care how someone draws, right? Like, I don't care about your art style. I'm not going to say that your art style is bad inherently or anything like that. I'm going to school for art so I can learn more about different kinds of art and things like that. So I'm not going to dunk on someone's art style inherently. However, I do have some critique involving character design. In terms of color, the show as a whole, it has a very limited range. Like, it's heaven, blue, hell, red, and that's kind of it. Like, there really isn't much variety in color, and I just feel like that's kind of wasted. Like, that's not great. Yeah, especially considering that, like, a lot of the characters just kind of have similar character designs to their backgrounds. And if they're all human souls originally, it just doesn't really make sense because the world is so diverse and crazy. Why doesn't their soul, like the way that they look, reflect that? Especially in terms of color. Color means so many different things across so many different cultures. To just have every soul in hell be red or black just doesn't really make sense, you know? Like they could have done so much more. Specifically, like with Alistair's character, his magic is green, but he's red. Like all of him is red. He has no green details on him whatsoever. Why? You could have made him green, and then he would have stood out against the background, and then his magic would have made sense with his character design. But no, I don't get it. Like, I don't really mind having heaven be blue and hell be red, but I feel like they should have stuck that more so with backgrounds, and then had the actual characters themselves take on different colors. And then that would have helped them, again, pop out more in comparison to their background. You know, like, I get having, like, Satan and Charlie be red. They're in hell, like, one of them was the founder of hell, the other one was born in hell. It makes sense, you know? But, like, having all of the other characters just also be red just looks really bland after a while, especially considering that how complex these character designs are. You could have added some more color in there, you know? It doesn't even have to be, like, totally, like, new, super standout colors. Carmilla and her daughters were some of me and my friends. All of my friends, by the way, are either music majors or art majors, just letting you know. All of me and a lot of my art student friends really liked Carmilla and her daughters because they're mostly white and black, so they pop out against the background a lot more. And also, their character designs are so much simpler than everyone else's. Especially specifically her daughters. Her daughters' character designs are much more simpler. Carmilla has some whack stuff with hers, but you know, overall, it's fine. My main point of this whole section is they could have made their characters more diverse in terms of color and just not have them all be red or blue. Like, there's so many other colors out there. You could have chosen anything else, but no, everything is either red or blue, and that drives me nuts. And again, I like the airbrushing technique, so there are things that I like. It's just the color. Oh my gosh, fix your color. That being said, I already talked a little bit about like how complex a lot of the characters are. It's not inherently a bad thing, but when we're talking about animation, some of that can be incredibly difficult and it can lead to mistakes. Like how I talked about Vaggie just completely disappearing from the background, or Charlie's little spots moving super rapidly, or Angel Dust's arms disappearing. Those mistakes are going to happen when you have such complex character designs, and when you, on top of that, don't pay your animators, you know, a proper wage. But I'm getting into that in a little bit. I'm not saying that, like, you know, you have to make them super bland and boring, but, like, you know, just take out some of the extra shit. Like with Husk, like, why does Husk have wings? Why does he have wings? He's a cat guy. He doesn't need wings. Or even then, why does he have those little, like, striped things on his wings? Those are just extra shit. You could take those off and he'd still have wings and he'd still have a pretty decent character design. But no. But yeah, in terms of, like, the art style itself, and by that I specifically mean, like, line art and shit like that, like, it's fine. I like it. It's okay. You know, it's all right. I just feel like the color could be more diverse. A lot of the men in the show just have the same cookie cutter body shape format. They're super skinny, tall guys, and that's it. Like, so many of them. I made a list. So there are 9 prevalent male characters within the series, and 7 of them look like Tumblr sexy men. Why? Why? You didn't have to do this. And I heard somewhere that, like, the creator of the show doesn't like drawing people with muscles or something, like that's just something that she doesn't like. And it's like, okay, then just have someone else design that character and just have them, like, run it by you first to make sure, like, they're red or some shit, you know? Like, you could have done something else. You didn't have to design every character yourself. You could have worked with a team and made sure that you had a diverse array of body types. But no. On a positive note, there's much more body diversity among the female characters in the show. Most of them are still pretty thin, but, you know, there's some more height difference. So, you know what? I'll take it. So for a clarification on this, I am obviously white, as you can tell. However, my opinion is something that is shared by a lot of people on the internet, specifically people of color on the internet, and that is how my opinion has been shaped. It's by those people. So it's not just me as a white person talking about this, it's also me sharing the opinion of people of color on the internet who have some things to say about the diversity of the show. So another clarification is that all of the souls in heaven and hell seem to be strictly either angels or demons. Like, there aren't any like human souls, like any like real human looking people other than like some of the like Adam and his lieutenant, but even then like they still like don't really look quite human. They're super like washed out and stuff. Either way, I understand not having human skin tones for these people, right, or for these characters, but you can still code a character to be black or white, like depending on who they are. And there are some characters who are people of color within the show, but some of that representation is not great, either in the way that they are drawn, in the way that they are designed, or in who they are as a character. So quickly, I'm going to get into some of the characters who are people of color and cast the widest possible net while I do so. So just going down the list, this is either based off of the character design, the voice actor, something that the creator has said herself, what have you. Again, keep in mind I'm casting the widest possible net. We have Alistair, Carmilla, her daughters, Husk, Nifty, Serpentius, Seraphim, Emily, Vaggie, Valentino, Velvet, Zestiel, and Mimsy. Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's go through a quick rundown of these characters and discuss like why their representation may not be as good as it seems on the surface. So I think Carmilla and her daughters are overall like they're represented fine, I guess. I definitely will say that like Carmilla could be a better person overall. She's definitely alluded to be more so like an anti-hero, which I get, that's fine. But you know, like she definitely is very kind of an asshole. A lot of these characters are fucking assholes, which I mean they're in hell, so I guess that makes sense. But you know, it's just not a lot of kind people. She could have been nicer, you know? She clearly cares about things. She cares about her daughters. That's why she killed an angel. But, you know, it's just kind of rude. But that's just me. Like, that one is just my opinion. I feel like she could be a nicer person, especially considering that she's shown to care about things. But again, take that with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion. Moving on. Nifty is the only character in the show that I know of that is even alluded to being Asian, and that's because of her voice actress. And she has a very childlike, petite, and kind of hypersexual personality about her. And this on the surface doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing, but when you consider the stereotypes around specifically East Asian women, it's kind of problematic. And this is not something that is just my opinion. This is something that I have seen people express online. She definitely plays into that stereotype a lot. The only thing that I will say is that a lot of this stereotype around East Asian women also revolves around them being very docile or submissive, and I will say that is one thing that Nifty definitely is not, so that is one way to sort of counteract that stereotype a little bit, but she definitely is still very petite, hypersexual, and childlike. So just keep that in mind. So the reason that Serpentius is on this list is because, as I said previously, he is a caricature of someone that the creator originally knew, and that person is indigenous, I believe. So I will fact check that, and editing me will put in a disclaimer if not. But, so I'm gonna count it. Serpentius, indigenous, what a king. I do wish that there was something to maybe, if he is supposed to be indigenous, something to elude that. Like, other than, I guess, the long hair, that's the closest you can really get. Assuming that this person is indigenous as in, like, Native American. I don't know if not, but, you know, whatever. Vaggie isn't necessarily evil, but she did used to be an exorcist, and she hid it from Charlie knowingly, and, you know, it's just kind of a shitty thing to do. She's also one of the only Latina characters, the other Latina character in the show, and she is incredibly aggressive, which is just a stereotype that I see happen a lot with Latina characters in media. I understand that the creator of the show herself is Latina, but that's still like a stereotype that, like, you know, didn't have to happen, especially considering that Carmilla is also kind of an aggressive person and very she kind of butts heads with people a lot, and I feel like having your only two Latina characters in the show fulfill that stereotype just isn't great. And again, this is something that I've seen other people say as well, but yeah. Valentino, just the worst guy in the show. He's fucking awful. Velvet is another antagonistic force in the show. She's also like very loud and rude, and she's not great. I do like her character though, I will say. Like, she definitely is an asshole, but like I can appreciate her, to say the least. I wish her hair had some more texture to it personally though. Like, not even for like a representation's sake, just like because I feel like it would look better with her character design. So Mimsy's character isn't necessarily a person of color, but this is something that I've heard people say a lot about her character, and I will say that this is something that is heavily debated amongst people, but it is something that I still felt to share. A lot of people feel that Mimsy's character is an anti-Semitic stereotype, given the fact that she is one of the only fat characters in the show. She's incredibly obsessed with like wealth, money, and like definitely like consumption in general, and she also has a hooked nose, so a lot of people feel that she is anti-Semitic in that fact. Also, apparently people view Rosie as an anti-Semitic caricature as well, given the fact that she's supposed to she's alluded to kind of being like adjacent to a Jewish mother, and she's also a cannibal. Which, if you don't know the history around the persecution of Jewish people and blood libel, basically it has been a very common thing historically for Jewish people to basically been accused of cannibalism for super evil Jew stuff, so just a fun fact for you. So take that as you will. So Zethshel isn't necessarily a bad guy, but he's definitely not like a chill guy to hang out with either. He has a very like ancient, very old school way of speaking, I guess you could say. And if you look at him specifically, if you look at his hat, there's sort of this implication that he kind of like resembles a bastardized depiction of like a voodoo priest, specifically given the fact that like his hat has like, I think like a feather and a skull in it, and it just kind of reminds me of like thinking about season 3 of American Horror Story or the main villain in Princess of the Frog. It just like kind of gives that same vibe. This is something that I haven't heard a lot of people say. This is just something that I picked up on when I watched the show for the first time. I was like, is this guy supposed to be like voodoo? Like what's going on here? That's a weird thing to throw in there. Turns out it's actually not that weird though, because there's another character who also is supposed to be a representation of the voodoo religion, I guess, and that would be Alistair. So Alistair, when he uses his magic, these symbols pop up around him, and inherently you may not think much about it, but these actually are symbols that come from the voodoo practice and religion. Now, Alistair himself is actually, it is said, at least on the Hazbin Wikipedia thing, like the fandom one, that he is supposed to be mixed race and Creole, but they don't do anything to show that within the show. I mean, just look at the guy. Like, he's the whitest guy. And yeah, sure, you can be mixed race and be a very pale person, but there is nothing about his character that indicates his identity, his religion, who he used to be at all. Like, there's nothing about that. The only thing that is shown is that he looks like a voodoo doll for a part, and he has those symbols pop up around him. Like, it really just seems like they brought up those symbols to be like, ooh, scary, like voodoo symbols, look how creepy he is, and then they just threw in the mixed race heritage and being Creole to make up for that, you know? Like, kind of like they were trying to cover their tracks, and I really don't appreciate it. I myself am not someone who practices voodoo at all, but I definitely have like an immense amount of appreciation for the religion and culture that surrounds it, and just to see it represented this way, as it has been represented often as like this, ooh, scary, creepy thing, it really makes me mad. And even then, when they use other religious symbols in shows made by the same person, they're used incorrectly. This isn't about Hazbin Hotel, but specifically Hell of a Boss, something that I saw that I felt the need to mention. So in Hell of a Boss, there's this character Beelzebub, right? Like the demon, Beelzebub. But when Beelzebub is shown, there's a sigil behind her, and that sigil is not the sigil of Beelzebub at all. That is the symbol of Baal. They can't even get their Christian, like, iconography right. I saved this critique for last because it is the one that is most personal to me as a queer individual. The queer representation within this show is dog shit. One of the only outwardly gay men in the show is in an incredibly abusive relationship, and he is constantly hypersexualized. Now I get it, he's a porn star, but believe it or not, porn stars are people too, and they don't just constantly talk about porn 24/7, and they don't just constantly sexually harass the people around them. That is something that he specifically does, and he's the only gay guy in the show other than, you know, the guy who abuses him, so that's great. It's bad gay representation and it's bad sex work representation. Also, the only lesbian relationship in the show is incredibly bland. It's so bland that fans have started shipping Charlie and Emily instead. It's Yuri so bad that I thought they were friends. I stole that from Twitter. But yeah, need I say more? It's just not great. They're so, oh my god, I don't even think they kiss on the lips for like the entire show, right? Like I think she kisses her on the forehead once and that's it. Like it's so bland. I'm not saying like you have to show them having sex or anything, but for God's sakes, at least like give them some romantic aspects. And Alistair is aromantic and asexual. He's just like me for real. But seriously, he's characterized for most of the show as being this very soulless and unloving being, which again, I did say that I like that aspect of him, but it is a little weird to have your only asexual character be this person who like doesn't feel anything at all. You know, that's a trope that has happened a lot in a lot of shows, and I just feel like it's not great. You could have just thrown in another character who's asexual and it would have balanced it out, but no, he's the only character you prop up for being asexual or aromantic, and he's also the one who feels the least, so not a fan personally. There are technically other queer characters within the show, however, their sexualities aren't really displayed throughout, and along with that, even on the Hazbin Hotel Wikipedia, there are no transgender characters listed, so that is, the representation that I just mentioned is the only one that we get within season 1. Overall, I just don't think that the queer representation is as good as people hype it up to be. Now, pretty much all of that was just my opinion. However, there are some facts that I feel a need to share. For one thing, many of the animators who have worked on the show have expressed that they were underpaid and overworked. The creator herself even went to other animation studios to make sure that the animators weren't working on other projects. And overall, the working environment has been described as incredibly toxic, with many of the people who worked on the show ultimately expressing regret for working on the project in the first place. There are several articles, one in particular that I can think of that delves into this further, and they're going to be linked below in the description if you want to read about that. But yeah, that's something that I felt a need to share. Along with that, the creator of the show has gone out of their way to not accept any criticism and actively enjoys mocking anyone who provides commentary, and even goes as far to block them on social media. So, just not great. Not a great way to show that you're an adult who can take criticism at all, because clearly you can't. But whatever. Again, there are definitely other things that I could say about the creator of this show, but this video is going to be long enough as it is that I don't want to bring it up right now. For now, I'm just talking about the video. If you want to see me delve a bit more into the working conditions of the people who worked on this project, and also about the creator, please let me know. I'd love to do that. But all in all, I hope that you like this video. Did you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Whatever you say, share your opinions down below in the comments. I also make videos about art history, politics, Satanism, things like that. So be sure to check those out. Be gay, do crime, and have a wonderful day.
It starts with
one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time.